Alright, what is up guys? Fraser Wilson here. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Now, today what we're going to be doing is focusing on body fat percentage, and namely trying to get your body fat percentage below 10%, because that threshold, guys, is usually pretty hard to get down to. But with the tips and the things that I'm going to share with you in today's video, it's going to make it a lot easier. With that being said, guys, getting below that 10% is usually a very desirable thing. It's usually when your abs start to pop like a mofo, like here, your muscles start to really get really defined, and that is something that's extremely desirable because, you know, everyone can kind of bulk up. Everyone can eat a lot of food, everyone can go to the gym, work out hard, and put on a little bit of muscle. It's usually the easier part of the actual equation, okay? The harder part is actually losing all that fat and getting under that 10% threshold, because that is where your muscles really start to pop and you start to look pretty damn crazy and shredded. So the whole idea of this video, guys, is to teach you exactly the process that you can go through to actually get under that 10% threshold, because there is an actual equation and things that you'll need to do, right? This isn't an option. There's things that you'll have to do to actually get down to that 10% threshold, guys. So without further ado, let's hop into it. Now, before we jump right into it, guys, I need you to understand that every single person is going to look different at a certain body fat percentage. Now, I'm gonna use me as an example. I store fats typically in my face, in my back, and all that kind of stuff. I don't really store it in my stomach or any of those kind of areas. And as such, at like 10% body fat, I look very, very lean. Whereas some people might get to 12%, 10% and still not look as lean because they store so much fat around their belly. And that is typically where people are going to use as an example of how low body fat percentage someone is. So with that out of the way, guys, you need to understand that you will look drastically different to the next person, being at 10%, 12%, 14%. And that's why it's not a really good thing to focus on fat percentage alone, because everyone is going to reflect a different body and physique at certain body fat percentages. Now, to get into the things that you can actually do to get there, there's definitely a few things that you need to nail down, and the first of which is going to be a calorie deficit, okay? So if you're at 15% body fat, the only way to get down to 10% body fat, at least the easiest way to get down to it, is to lose fat. So in order to actually lose fat, you're going to need to be able to consume less calories than you expend. So when you do that, guys, say I have 1,000 calories coming in and I'm burning 1,500 calories. There's 500 calories unaccounted for. So that 500 calories has to come from somewhere, okay? It's not just gonna evaporate. So it comes from your energy reserves, and that's gonna be fat, muscle, or glycogen in the muscle stores. Now, preferably it's going to come from fat, and depending on how much fat stores you actually have, it's more than likely going to come from fat. So being in a caloric deficit is a must if you want to trim back your body fat percentage to get it under 10%. Now, another thing you could do to actually, make your percentage of fat lower in your body is actually to build muscle mass. Because let's say, you weigh 200 pounds and then you put on 10 pounds of pure muscle mass, guys. You now weigh 210 pounds, but you have 10 more pounds of muscle mass. So essentially, the percentage of fat in terms of body weight is going to be lower than it was when you weighed less. Okay, I know that might have been a bit confusing. Watch your back, I guarantee it will make sense. The next thing you need to nail down, guys, is to actually train and to have enough muscle mass to actually be at an acceptable level of body fat percentage. Now, if you get down to 10% body fat and you've never lifted a weight, you look scrawny, you look skinny, you look frail. Consider that being at 10% body fat, you're gonna be quite lean, you're gonna be quite light. So if there's no muscle mass to make up for that, loss of body weight, you're gonna look extremely skinny. So you need to actually have some muscle mass to work with, guys, before you want to trim back down and get to that 10% body fat percentage. Because as I said, everyone's going to look different at 10% body fat percentage or 12% or this or that. And that's all based off their genetics and how much muscle mass they have, where the muscle mass is, and all that kind of stuff, guys. So getting down to 10% body fat is not the name of the game. It's to be at 10% body fat and actually have some muscle to work with. And as such, you look much better as long as you tick those boxes. So those are the essentials that you actually need to nail down to get down to a body fat percentage that's lower than 10%. So if you're at 15% body fat, the only way to get that down is to lose body fat or to put on more muscle mass. So those are the two things that you must do to actually lower your body fat percentage. Now, there's some things that you can do to actually make that process easier, because it isn't as easy as people seem to make it out to be, you know? Even though the equation is simple, you eat less, you move more, it's still not as easy to do, man. You know, you don't eat a burger, but that's easier said than done. Once you get into a situation where there's food around, there's pizzas, parties, drinks, alcohol, it makes it a lot harder than actually saying it right now to you, or you hearing it here and being like, you know, that's possible, but it's still not that possible because it's different when you're in it. So I'm gonna give you 5 things that you can actually do to make that process a little bit easier if you're trying to lose weight or put on muscle mass. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do, guys, is clean up your diet, okay? You need to be watching what you're eating, and you want to be selecting foods that actually allow you to get there. So what I mean by that, guys, is if you're trying to lose weight and you're eating McDonald's every day, and I'm gonna make a video on this very shortly, so make sure you subscribe. If you're eating McDonald's every day, or pizza, or this or that, and you're only allowed to have, say, 2,000 calories in order to lose fat, you're gonna use that up very, very quickly, because a Big Mac, guys, is like 800 calories. You know, if you get a full meal, it's gonna be like 1,200 calories. You get a shake, you get this, you get that, you have a Coke. You've like used up all your calories in that one meal, and you're gonna be absolutely starving. So what you're gonna wanna do, guys, is watch what you eat in terms of applying foods that are lower in calories and higher in volume. So by that, I mean like vegetables, I mean like fruits, broccoli, green veg, all that kind of stuff, legumes, beans, grains, rice, potatoes, all that kind of stuff, guys. Incorporate that, because that's gonna fill you up and allow you to actually eat more, and you're more than likely gonna get to your goal that way. Second thing, guys, is if you are trying to lose weight, you're just gonna wanna move more, okay? Because that's so critical that you nail down the actual expenditure part of the equation. You have tackled the intake, okay? The food that you're actually consuming, you've sorted that out. Now you need to understand that in order to be able to eat more, you're gonna move more. And to actually perform well, it's very, very important to actually look good at a certain body fat percentage. So as I mentioned before, you don't wanna be frail, skinny, and all that kind of stuff at 10% body fat. And if you're just focusing on losing weight from a consumption perspective, okay, what you're eating, then you might actually end up in that situation. So what you want to do is tick all boxes and nail everything from both perspectives, from the eating and the training, and that comes into your cardio. So that's the second thing, guys. Incorporate more cardio, high intensity interval, whatever it might be. Get outside, go for a walk, you know, just don't try and do it from diet alone. You'll drive yourself absolutely crazy and you'll be very, very hungry. Third thing is to actually incorporate a proper program that's going to allow you to progress and get better, lift more, move more, become more athletic, anything, whatever your goals might be. It needs to be mapped out to your goals. So if you go into the gym, you just do whatever, you kind of half-ass it, you don't really stick to a program, you're more than likely not going to make too much progress. And progress is very, very important to actually maximizing your muscle mass potential. Now, if you're a brand newbie, you're a brand new beginner, you need to nail this down to a T. You need to get something that works and actually stick to it, because you're in such a fantastic position where, let's say you're at 15% body fat percentage and you've never gone to the gym. If you actually apply a proper program and you stick to it, you work hard at it, you make sure you nail down the basics, you get your form right, and you actually push yourself, you can transform your entire body very, very quickly, because you can actually lose body fat percentage whilst gaining muscle mass. So you can end up being 10% body fat with a whole lot more muscle and drastically change the way you look in like 6 to 8 months. And I guarantee you guys, if you nail that down from the beginning, you'll set yourself up for a very, very long-term progression. Number 4, guys, is to limit the amount that you actually go out to drink. Or if you do go out to drink, try not to drink as much. And the reason is, guys, if you're trying to lose body fat, okay, you're trying to trim back the body fat percentage to under 10%, it's going to be a hard, long, arduous process. And if you do it, you know, it can be done whilst drinking. I'm not gonna dispute that. I've actually done that. I've drunk every weekend and lost fat over that process. But you lose muscle mass in that process as well, because alcohol is terrible for actually muscle preservation. Because when you drink, any food that you intake for the next 24 to 48 hours, depending on how much you drank, is not going to be prioritized. It's not going to be broken down. It's not going to be used effectively, because your body is primarily focusing on getting rid of the toxin, the alcohol, and that's not fun. That's not fun at all. You're going to be losing muscle mass over the process that you're losing body fat, and that's not cool. So don't do that. Number 5 is actually readjust the way you think about losing weight. Now, what I mean by that, guys, is so many people have the very, very ingrained idea that they need to get it done now. They want everything now, and I understand it. We're in a very, instantaneous kind of situation in terms of society. Okay, you want to watch a movie? Boom, watch a movie. You want to, have a burger, have a high calorie dense food? Boom. But you want to lose fat? It just doesn't work the same way, unfortunately. So what you need to do is take a step back and decide that instead of trying to lose so much weight in such a short amount of time, within like 1 month, you want to lose 20 pounds of fat. Instead of doing that, say, you know what, in 1 month, I'm just gonna lose 5 pounds of fat. It's pretty damn doable, and you'll more than likely actually hit it and stick to it and be able to actually then lose more. Whereas if you try to lose 20 pounds in a month, not only will you more than likely not achieve that, not get there, but if you do get there, you're gonna freaking relapse, because you're gonna hit a wall. That's way, way, way too much weight to be losing. So just to clarify, guys, a very, very good amount of weight to lose is about 1 pound per week of body fat. That is a very sustainable rate of weight loss, and I guarantee you, if you stick to that, you'll actually more than likely achieve the goals of getting underneath 10% body fat. That is the 5 things that you can apply to actually making that 10% body fat journey a bit easier for yourself. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, drop a like, comment down below what your favorite tip was. If you have any tips for me or everyone else who watches this video, please leave it below so we can all help each other out. So with that, guys, subscribe if you're new here, guys, and I'm gonna catch ya in the next one. Arigato, Robato, Mr. Robato. I don't know what that meant.